it gives me great pleasure to declare open the 26th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
Friends, it's an honor to speak to you today for the first time as COP President.
I encourage you to keep the big picture in mind. I encourage you to look beyond your specific agenda item to what we're trying to achieve together.
Climate action is a large and complex challenge, and one meeting, so whether it's the G20 or indeed a COP, isn't going to be able to address everything. But countries are clear-sighted on the urgency of the science, and the need to accelerate action this decade is firmly on the agenda for leaders and negotiators here in Glasgow. Thank you.
It is true, we know that we are still far from where we need to be to say confidently that we will reach the 1.5 degrees goal by the end of the century. However, the science also tells us that it is still within our reach.
G20, there are some who said there was a failure of leadership, that there was no big push that came out, maybe a little small push. How would you characterize what came out, especially considering what some considered a weak NDC from China? Are you starting this COP with only a small amount of momentum, and how will that affect negotiations? Does it hurt negotiations not getting that big push?
You know, I think yes, very frankly, we are not where we need to be, and I think that's something that we need to be very honest about. We are seeing that altogether, our assessment indicates around 16% of increase of emissions by 2030, while we should be getting to a decrease of 45%.
I said at the start of when I took on this role as COP President Designate that we wanted to make COP26 the COP that we had to consign coal power to history. And I would just say to all colleagues here that what has happened over the past months, I think, has been quite remarkable in terms of the commitments to end international coal financing. And if this press conference had been taking place a year ago, and I had said to you that that is how far we would have come, I suspect you might have been skeptical. I am disappointed that it seems unlikely that the 100 billion will have been met in 2020. We don't yet have the figures. They will come next year from the OECD, but we do know the figures for 2021, just under 80 billion. And if you look at the delivery plan, the 100 billion is not likely to be met in 2021. That obviously is a matter for disappointment, but I do think the fact that from 2023 onwards, the 100 billion will be met.
My question is about finance as well, and it addresses the question of sufficiency of the 100 billion in relation to the need. That seems to be grossly insufficient. And also when compared with the enormous amount of funding which was deployed to save the economies of America and Europe, it seems very, very small.
Thank you for that question. And obviously the $100 billion goal was first talked about in 2009, and then it was reiterated in 2015 in Paris. I mean, what I would say is that I think we all understand that the 100 billion is a significant amount of money. However, report after report that we've seen internationally suggests that we're going to have to mobilize trillions of dollars a year to support the transformation of economies around the world. And I think this is where the private sector has a real role to play.